Greetings, everyone. My name is Tony Forman. Hello, everybody. This is the one and only Mr. Tony Forman on the Tony Forman Show, TFS. One more time, I'm proud to be here with you again after a short hiatus. I had to go to Europe and sign a couple of contracts. You know I'm lying, right? But I like to start with that. Today we have on the show Mr. Malik. Is a very, very good friend of mine. At one time, he was my boss. You know, I'm older than him, but he was my boss. I'm glad to have him on the show. Malik, could you please, you mind if I call you Shay? I'm so used to calling you Shay.
You know, I prefer that, to be honest with you, and I'm happy to be here. So thanks for having me, Tony.
Yes. I'm always bragging about you and the work that you do, because I'm elated to say that you are a friend. You know what I'm saying? There aren't too many people that I consider a friend. Some people just associate. You to me are a friend, a respected friend. So I admire the work that you do with the African American Museum, and it's something that I believe is for the good of our community, to know that our history not only has been buried, it has been denied. With the current administration, a lot of the things that are going on, if we don't continue to highlight our history, well, they say those who forget their history are bound to repeat it, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And those who don't want it forgotten intend to repeat it.
Words of wisdom. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So I want you to first start by introducing yourself and tell them, our audience, a little bit about you, so we can move forward. Mm-hmm. And thank you again for being on the show.
Well, no, thanks for having me, Tony. And talking about Cedar Grove is one of my favorite topics, so we'll get into that. But I wanted to, thank you for being here. I am elated to have a friend like yourself. Although we've worked together in the past, a boss employee role is not one that you and I have ever established. So,
right. No, we work together.
Yeah. So thank you for leading that effort and being such an influential team member and such an important opportunity that we had with that, work we did together. I don't know how relevant it is for the show, but I just will share that working for the election that just passed, the election that's delivered the what do we call it? The strange fruit that we are all experiencing right now, was quite the experience, and really insightful into sort of the times and challenges we face. That said, my name is Shay Malik Abdullah. I run a small company called C Malik Art. That is a combination of my name and one of my passions, which is art. So that's how that's come to fruition. So after a life of being referred to as Shay, it's often now because of that company name, and that people refer to me as Malik, which is also quite all right. That said, my background is in film and television. I've worked in media almost since I stepped out of university. And that has given me really kind of great insight to, I'll use something as basic as a human condition. right? Interacting with different folks, sort of having the wherewithal to show up, right? In places that some people will say are not your place or that type of thing, right? Um, it really highlights a need for better communication at the end of the day.
Yes.
And so that's my short story, but I do think that the media background really influences how I approach not only the world but specifically problems or issues, right? Um, to me, the world is loaded with opportunity. End of
And so it is.
end
And
of
so it
statement. That's it.
yeah,
When I wake
yeah.
up in the morning, that's what I'm looking for, is my next opportunity, right?
Well, that's inspiring.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have a next opportunity, you
And
know,
yeah.
and for different reasons.
Hmm.
Uh, Once we're cognizant of that, then we know that individually we can move forward with
Yeah.
our own agenda. And again, I admire who you are. I admire what you do. But I must confess, we spend quite a bit of time together. But I didn't know you were into art that much. We did sort of touched on it, but
Yeah.
and we'll talk about it after we speak about the cemeteries.
Sure.
So
And that's
could
a
you
great.
go ahead? I'm sorry.
No, I'm listening, Tony.
I was going to say, could you share with us how you got to get interested in forgotten cemeteries,
Mhm.
African American cemeteries, why it's important? Because I'm going to tell you, after working with you and talking with you, now I go around and I when I see little cemeteries, like I was with Yvette, with the Commissioner Yvette Townsend Ingram, and when you're going down, what's the name of that street? This oh my God, there's a little cemetery. It's not much of a cemetery. I look at this cemetery and I'm saying, I asked Yvette, I said, I wonder if Shay knows about this cemetery. And she said, I believe she does. I mean, he does. She believes he does. Um, I'm trying to remember the name of that street. It's off. Oh my God! It goes all the way west, I believe. But it'll come to me.
Okay.
The point that I make is that from you, your inspirations got me now. I was driving to New York and I see little cemeteries and black towns, and man, I would like to know who's buried there. I work in Taylorsville, a town that is a Republican town, but there's a cemetery there, and I know there's a lot of Confederates buried there. And I'm saying to myself, one day I gotta go in there and see who's buried in there. I did the same thing at the cemetery. This here is downtown. It goes along 77, I think it is.
Hmm.
Um, and there's an area there where you have a Confederate. So the point that I'm making is that your work is vitally important. Our kids should know about those cemeteries. They want the African American cemeteries, so they know. You never know. The ancestors may be buried there, especially if they're charlatans.
Sure.
Tell us a little bit more
Yeah.
about the African American cemeteries.
Well, I'll set it up, Tony, because we sort of jumped right in, but the cemetery is called Cedar Grove Cemetery.
Right,
It's on Hildebrand Street, right in the
right.
heart of Beatty's Ford. You would never know it was there if you drove down Beatty's Ford. And it is you pass through it on the entrance to University
Mhm.
Park Creative Arts School. So that's a
Yeah,
K-5 school. in the heart of this Beatties Ford community, this troubled community, I'll call Beatties Ford, right? Um, a community at they're not even at a crossroads. The Beatties Ford community is is in an opportunity state at the
Yeah.
moment, right? The big debate or question there is who's it going to be an opportunity for? So, that's something we wrestle with all over the place, but that's the reality of that geographic area where Cedar Grove is located. Cedar Grove was established right around the turn of the century. The earliest burial we have on record is 1913. The property was owned prior to that, and I think it had been designated as a cemetery as early as, I want to say, like 1880, 1890. We're still trying to nail down the fact on that.
Mm-hmm.
But what really fascinated me are the story itself is pretty fascinating because, Tony, I've never lived in the South since I was 5 years old. I've never worked at a school. I've never been in a school since I walked out of it. I've, never gone back in any capacity. So I find myself in Charlotte working at an elementary school that's separated by a chain link fence from this cemetery.
Yes.
Which is a Black cemetery. The school is 99% Black. Right. I walked by that cemetery every day because you couldn't see it. It was overgrown. It just looked like a patch of forest. But I walked by there every day for a year and a half, twice a day, to and from school. Never knew it was there until one day. And I mean, it's literally, like I said, the entrance to the school is on the side of the road.
Yeah.
If you hopped out of open the door and put your foot out, you would stand in the cemetery. Right. It's that close. But I was leaving school one day and I used to commuted by bus, right? I came from San Francisco, so I hadn't really bought into the car culture quite yet. Or I moved here from San Francisco. So anyway, that's how I commuted. And like I said, I walked by it twice a day, every day. One day I'm walking by, there's a gentleman standing in the woods with a camera pointed at him. And I told you my background's in film and TV. So I marched right across the street and said, what is going on? Like, talk to me. You speaking my language. What's going on? What we doing? And it turns out it was a grad student from UNCC who had picked Cedar Grove for his thesis work. And we chatted a little bit. I told him about my background. He told me what his desires were beyond him submitting this for his grade, which is he was a white gentleman. Kevin Donaldson's his name. You can look at the work that he's done on our website, savecedargrove.org. And there's a lot of great things there. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But anyway, I had that conversation with Kevin Donaldson. He said he needed someone in the community to share this information, that he didn't think it was appropriate that he did it, and that he didn't intend to do it because of those reasons,
Yeah.
And he was ultimately doing it for a grade. So beyond getting that grade, for him to stay engaged with that was questionable, right?
Yeah.
I applaud Kevin.
A little inappropriate to other people.
Yeah, I applaud Kevin, and he goes back to what I said earlier. A guy like that, who this is a white guy standing in the woods in this all Black neighborhood, doing his work, recognizing the importance of it, and willing to share that information for someone else's benefit, right? He's willing to plant a tree that he'll never see the shade of. That's the difference, in this world. So what motivated me more than anything, and I'm sorry for the long-winded answer, but
no, you're good.
Yeah, what motivated me really more than anything to get engaged with that was when I heard the stories. My motivation is 99% selfish, Tony. I was fascinated. I had to know more. I was like, who are these people? Why are they here like this? Right? So when I couldn't just see them, I was like, I got to clean this up so I can see what's going on. Right? Then I got to tell somebody about this because these stories are mind blowing. Right? I'm motivated by like, holy crap, like the pastor of the Grace AME is buried in an abandoned cemetery in front of an all black school.
Yo, this sounds real exciting.
Really what?
Keep your thoughts. It sounds very exciting, and we want to know more about it. But we have to take a break. We got to
Sure.
pay the bills.
Yeah.
We'll be we'll be right back, family.
Hey everyone, we want to thank you for watching the Tony Forman Show, the new Tony Forman Show. You can catch us on your favorite audio podcast or video podcast platform every Wednesday at 10 in the morning Eastern Time. That's when we drop. So once again, thank you for watching the new Tony Forman Show on your Cannis Media Network.
Thank you everybody for watching the Tony Forman Show. I hope you had a fun time listening to that. This is Wednesday from the Cannis Show. We are always dropping an episode every Thursday at 7 p.m. on all podcast platforms and stuff. So if you want to hear about a lot of progressive, hot leftist takes and just yelling about how the burning of our world sucks, well, also sprinkle in a little bit of gaming and comic book news whenever it comes out pretty cool, just come over here.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the Tony Forman Show. I also want to remind you that our anchor show, Coffee and Panduste, with Jenny and I, drops every Wednesday. Right, Jen?
It's one of the things. We got some new exciting shows coming to you this year with Cannis Media, and we want to definitely promote this. We got Tony Forman and another host in exciting new looks at especially the Latinx Hispanic community. They're very relevant to that, just like coffee originally was. And tune in, check them out. It won't hurt, and see what you think. Give us some feedback.
All right, continue to enjoy the Tony Forman Show, but also jump over and watch Jenny's show on Two Queers in a Truck, and also our show, Coffee and Panduste. Bye, y'all.
Mm-hmm. Bye, y'all.
We're back now, ladies and gentlemen. We're back here with Mr. Shea. And Shay, please continue where you were going, because it was very interesting. And then I want to get to talk to you more about your website.
Yeah, well, I was just expanding on Tony and responding to the question about, how I got engaged with this project. And ultimately, the short answer is my curiosity was aroused. Right. And I saw an opportunity to learn some things. And as I learned more about the property and the people, and ultimately the Charlotte story that exists on this piece of property, I just was motivated to see what we could get done. And the more I learned about it, the more I recognized the opportunity to share this with the community, for better or for worse.
Well, I'm definitely overjoyed to know that I believe that everything happens for a reason. Nothing happens by happenstance. And just think about it. You're a filmmaker. You see a guy shooting film. You work at the school. Everybody is oblivious to the fact that there's a cemetery right there. There are houses on the other side. When I took the tour and I see there were houses on the other side, and then the school there, and I'm saying, did they violate the cemetery when they were building this school? Because I'm quite sure the cemetery wasn't built for just 25, 30, 50 people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In other words, there are questions to ask, Mm-hmm. And when urban development comes in, man, they don't care what did they destroy. They have a name.
Yeah. And
they're going to, so tell us a little bit about your website.
Sure. So we created a website. Kevin created a website. I control it now. And it's called SaveCedarGrove.org. And we're pretty excited about having that presence, because one of the goals immediately, like I said, my motivation, I've explained, right? And then we get to the goals, right? Now, what's the goal with that motivation? What am I going to do with that, right? So that motivation turned into the goal, and the goal was to lift up that place, so it cannot be touched. In an
Yeah.
area that's being as rapidly gentrified as Beatty's Ford is, we needed, and I say we because that community really has embraced me, right? Like, I don't self-proclaim West Side, right? They let me hang out over there, and I
Yeah.
appreciate and respect that, and I honor that. That's the way I move over there, right? Like, as it's like I'm visiting my cousins,
Yeah.
right? So I gotta show respect for the family. I gotta hold what they hold in that neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So those are real important things. And what I like about our conversation, Tony, and the fact that you even have a podcast is that these are sort of those intangibles that don't get discussed. This
Right.
this is the real currency in the world, right? I can give anybody $1. Anybody could give me $1. It don't bond us. It don't make us grow. It don't teach us nothing. It don't exchange any connection between us. Nothing, right? But if I could bend somebody's ear in that neighborhood and say, "Did you know?" and have them sit back and say, "No, I did not know that, and I want to know the rest of it."
Yeah. Hopefully through this show, uh, we could get more people to visit the site,
Sure.
go by there. And
Yeah.
the event that I went to or participated in that you gave in the summer when we all went to the cemetery and we laid wreaths and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
I think we need to do that a little more often.
Sure. That was our
Uh,
4th annual Memorial Day,
oh,
and
oh,
we'll do it again this year. What you mentioned about the wreaths, we were lucky enough to get tapped by a national organization called Wreaths Across America that honors veterans. So much about the cemetery. In fact, I'm just going to take a step back, Tony, and go back to the website, because what we've done there is we really wanted to build a place where people could get information about what's happening there. And there's so much happening there that we've really had to segment it out quite a bit. So,
okay.
at SaveCedarGrove.org, we recently just added a section called Life Stories, right? And we got an opportunity. I do a lot of work with UNCC Anthropology Department. Dr. Sarah Youngst over there has just been a fantastic advocate and sort of shoulder-to-shoulder partner in making things happen over there. One of the things we were able to put together is we were able to get a group of students to research the women and girls of Cedar Grove. So we had 4 grad students from the university. They spent the semester finding out what they could about these women. They picked the women on their own, and then proceeded to, we got them some education in archiving and research techniques and where to go, blah, blah. And they took it and put together 4 individual stories of women in Cedar Grove. So that's launching our Life Stories tab. And we're going to continue to try to build those out. We also have separate out of the Veterans tab. Veterans are hugely important to Cedar Grove because from the outset of Cedar Grove, it was intended, and remember, we're talking about the turn of the century, it was intended to be a Veterans Memorial Park. So that didn't happen.
Okay.
But that was the intention, right? Much later, the cemetery exchanged hands a few times, and the last owner was a guy by the name of John Sheed Davidson. Davidson also had the intention of making it a veterans memorial cemetery, and that never
I
happened.
live on Davidson. I wonder if there's any connection.
Well, there is, and again, this project has grown massively, Tony, and very quietly, but there's a lot moving with Cedar Grove right now. Very, very positive things, and hopefully what, I guess, impact-wise, hopefully you're going to be pretty significant, right? But so that's one thing. The veterans thing has been really big for us. That's where we get a lot of help, a lot of boots on the ground, cleaning that place up and
Yes.
getting it to the state that it's in now. So we have a veterans tab. We're looking for information and family members on the veterans that we've located so far. And so we have that tab. In addition, Rees Across America, through that relationship, they approached us about a podcast. So we have an active podcast that's also on the website called Lost Soldiers. They reached out to me and said, we would love for you to do a podcast around the cemetery. So I thought about it a little bit, and I created the concept of Lost Soldiers as a way to recognize and honor and lift up the stories of those veterans in this abandoned cemetery. We can trace connections of that cemetery back to the Spanish American War. And African Americans participating in that war related to that cemetery. It's amazing.
Wow.
It's amazing. So the veteran connection's really been a strong thing. So I encourage everyone to visit that, take a look there. And I encourage everyone to go to the website, share what information you have, present any questions you have there. But we're looking for more and more information because, it's not all sitting in one spot. It's all over the place.
Hey everyone, we want to thank you for watching the new Tony Forman Show on your favorite audio or video podcast platform. Every Wednesday at 10 in the morning Eastern Time, it will drop. So once again, thank everyone for watching the new Tony Forman Show, brought to you on your Cannis Media Network.
Hi everybody, this is Wednesday from the Cannis Show over here. All I'm here is doing a little quick PSA. Use this summer to do volunteer work. Go to your nearest YMCA, go to your nearest homeless shelter, go to whatever community services or programs that you can help out and volunteer. Because right now, we have a bunch of fascist pieces of shit trying to rip apart our country and rip apart the people, our communities by spreading hate and bigotry. The best way to combat it is, one, working in your community and standing strong to show that you are strong and you're here to help out others. Two, combat misinformation. If you hear bullshit, first research and make sure if it's true or not. If it is not true, call it out. If it is true, get the facts. Be knowledgeable of it because it might come out later. So always stand against that. And three, fuck fascists. Stand against them. Make them feel uncomfortable. There is too many people out there feeling like they can say the hard R or say slurs or be violent. Make them understand that a lot of people die to make sure this hatred and bigotry does not exist. All our civil rights workers, all the people who stormed Normandy, everybody who fought against intolerance and hatred, they died and worked their asses off to stop this. So follow in their footsteps and stop this madness. This is Wednesday again from the Esperanza, and all I can say is be there for your community and stand up for what's right. Fuck fascism and have a wonderful day.
We're back. My beautiful audience, we had some technical difficulties, but we're back. With Mr. Shea and the Cedarhurst Cemetery. Mr. Shea, could you please continue where you left off at?
Sure. Thanks for having me again, Tony. It's always a pleasure to talk about Cedar Grove. So the website that we were just talking about, savecedargrove.org, is where people can find out information about what we're doing there. It's been a self-funded project, so any kind of support in that fashion is always great for us. We have, again, at the site, partner opportunities. People can step up and sponsor wreaths for our veterans, and we do get a small donation from that activity as well. Podcast is another opportunity for people looking to support the project to step up. And anyone who has any information on folks buried at Cedar Grove, opportunities to advance the work there, etc., can reach out to us through the website or through our email info@savecedargrove.org. And we'll take a look at that and get back to you and hopefully have an opportunity for you to interact with the cemetery. So we're really happy about the work that's happened there. It's an open place. We don't own it. We just want to make it accessible. One of the things we really appreciate about the work that's happened there are the opportunities. I still spend a lot of time at the school. So I really enjoy when I am at the school or in the neighborhood and not doing anything cemetery related per se, and I see people there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And oftentimes I'll walk over and say, hey,
You get a chance to do your spiel.
I just would say, hey, it's a nice day. And I don't tell people actually anything about that, Tony. I just say it's a nice day out here. What brings you out to the cemetery? And they're like, oh, my grandpa's over here, or I haven't been out here for 15 years because we couldn't get to our family members. And so now we come on a weekly basis and spend time with whoever, and I say, and I'll say that, man, that's wonderful. Enjoy your day and let it be, they don't need to know. They don't need to know engagement with any of that,
No, I understand. I had another question. When we first started the show, I mentioned about these different other shows, and then Kano, the producer, mentioned several other cemeteries stuff. In terms of your efforts to bring light to the Cedarhurst Cemetery, I'm quite sure you've heard of some of those other cemeteries. Are they doing something like you?
What's
there any collaboration?
What's cool, Tony, is a couple of things I'll say related to that. We mentioned St. Lloyd's Cemetery. Wayne Johnson is over there. He's been at it for a minute, way before I got started. And he's doing fantastic stuff over there. So he's someone I lean on and someone I try to support best I can. But what's really crazy is how the world evolves. So through this work I've done with UNCC, collecting these stories, et cetera, what we discovered really is that there's an opportunity, around the country, but in particular across the state, for people to learn some lessons from what we've learned and what we've been able to do. The other groups that we've found that have done similar things, we've outpaced them a little bit. Not all of them. There's definitely some that we chase, but we put in a pretty substantial effort around this that's starting to get recognized. And one of the things we've done, Tony, is we've created the North Carolina African American Cemetery Network. And the intention of that is really just to create that network, like you said, and share knowledge. I know I don't have time to go and assess every cemetery and motivate the crowd to do what needs to be done. But we felt like with a pipeline like this, we could connect community folks to real professionals that are in these fields and looking for opportunities, quite frankly, especially with student populations, to get them out into these cemeteries and do their profession that they're learning. Like I said, we work closely with anthropology. So they do research. The students come out and do field research. They can come and do headstone cleanings. They come and do archaeological digs, all these different components where we're able to engage the community with that property. The whole idea is to make that place useful, make it represent, make it a give back to the community, make it a center of the conversation that's happening there. When we look at
is there any anthropological digs going on in Cedarhurst? Or has it ever?
It's Cedar Grove, but no, not yet. But we have done ground penetrating radar there a little bit. We need to do more. We don't even know how many people are there. There are many unmarked burials. So we have, records of people that should be buried there, but can't tell you where they are. We have people that are there and can't tell you why and who they are. So there's a lot of stuff going on with this. It was privately owned. So the records that were associated with the cemetery are wherever they are, if they still exist. So we're having to piece
What's the last recorded burial that you found there?
Man, you asked me all the questions, Tony, that should have simple answers. And Cedar Grove is just full of mysteries over and over. That cemetery closed in 1973. Davidson was nearly 100 years old. He had two daughters.
That's a long time ago.
He was the last one buried there in 1973. So the cemetery's been abandoned since 1973 up until about the 5 years ago that we got in there. I mentioned Davidson because, he was buried there in 73 and the cemetery was defunct at that point.
Are any of his relatives still around?
No, but I mentioned him because there's a burial of record, Tony, for 1986. 13 years after the property closed, someone was buried there, and we don't know why, anything. Just 1986, there was a new body.
Wow.
And I'll tell you this quick anecdotal thing that came out of this, Tony, because I think it's pretty coincidental and may tie all these things together. But like I told you, and also history. Like I'd never worked in a school. I never thought a ton about history. I'm aware of it, blah blah, but I never was like into it.
Yeah.
So I stumble across this project, and all those bases are covered, right? I'm working with kids. I'm doing Black history. I'm restoring a cemetery. I'm doing restoration stuff. All of a sudden, I'm a researcher. I was like archives. I know all the fancy words. I never done any of this stuff, but with the show, I didn't mention Lost Soldiers. I invited Tom Hanchett to be a part of the show with me. So Tom Hanchett and I host that show together, and he brings that real hard history line to what we're examining here, sort of anecdotally and from kind of a story and speculation on the information we've collected on some of these folks.
When does the show come on?
The show's on every Friday night on Reads Across America Radio, every Friday night at 9, and it's a national broadcast, so it's across the country every night at 9, or every Friday at 9. But I wanted to get to the quick connection that Tom made. Once he got in, the first bit of research Tom did produced a book that was found in a library in Maine, of all places. And there was a unit from one of the soldiers, a guy by the name of Wendell French, who's buried at Cedar Grove. His unit kept like a yearbook of their tour in World War II. These guys were in the Philippines, and an all-Black unit. They were in the Philippines, they were in London, they were in Wales. So they wrote stories in this book. Tom turns over some pages to me from this book, and in the first paragraph, Wendell French is talking about my grandfather.
What?
They served together. My grandfather, Albert Britt, one of the soldiers in Cedar Grove, served with him, and we have recorded documentation of him discussing my grandfather and what they were up to in Europe when they were 20 something in the 40s.
So it was divine intervention to have you walk out of the school and see that what you would call him. You know what I'm saying? I said these things they're not by happenstance. They're divine intervention.
Well, the other thing is I gave up a long time ago on it, Tony, right? Like I questioned all of it. What am I going to do at school? I don't know anything about any of this. But that was the best place for me to be. I had a blast at the school. I haven't left it. I don't work for CMS directly anymore, but I'm with those kids whenever there's an opportunity, right? And whenever opportunity comes my way, that's the first place I take it. Is right back to that school. I'll mention Principal Ray over there, who's just amazing, doing an incredible job. She's the new principal, not who I originally worked for, but since she's taken over, we've really been able to build a really strong bridge with that information and giving access to those kids in that school, access to that information.
Are those kids allowed to go into the cemetery?
No, it's a little too dangerous. All the liabilities and the litigious nature of our country. We've had to keep them out. But I'll tell you what I did, Tony, to take care of that, because like I said, one of my motivations was getting that information through that chain link fence. So I created a program called Westside Digital. And in that program, I go into the school and I tell these stories to the kids. Then I teach them how to tell a story digitally. So those kids get that information, and then they work with some additional research to create their own story about what they've learned. That's Westside Digital.
That's impressive.
I'm excited about it. I like it. Hopefully CMS will continue to see value in it, and it may actually get funding one day.
Well, Jay, I'm really elated, overjoyed, because I didn't think you were going to answer the call to be on TFS.
Listen, that's a call I take every day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. But we're at the end of the show. And to invite you back so you could tell us a little more, maybe 2-3 months down the line, so we can come and discuss some of your art, which we didn't, and I apologize for that.
No.
With difficulty, and maybe you could bring in some of your art to show it on the show.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Love you, my brother.
Yeah, love you too, Tony. Say hi to the commissioner. Thank you to you guys. Christian, thank you. SaveCedarGrove.org.
My family out there, listen, it's always a pleasure to be with you, and you be with me. We welcome you to continue watching the show so that we can share information and get educated. This is Tony Forman signing out. I'll see you at the next show. Our guest will be Commissioner Yvette Townsend from Charlotte, North Carolina, Mecklenburg. Thank you. Hey, everybody. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Thank you for being a part of my world. And we'll see you next week for the show.